What's got Russ the Sus and Attorney Warm so scared? 6,000 incriminating emails from Mary. Russ the Sus tried to clear everything out incriminating from the office, but he forgot the one huge thing, the computer. And we've got it all, and we're going to share it with you.
Do you know, Russell, if their passwords?
Yeah,
I do not know.
Yeah. So
You
we
have to
got
go in there
here.
and turn it on and find out.
Right.
I had nothing to do with that,
Yeah.
that office. That was the clerk's job.
I would like to see if you could get an answer from Russell. What was removed from Town Hall in the midst of a lawsuit?
What?
Former
That
clerk's
that
personal
doesn't, that's not public comment there.
He says it's her personal item.
Russell doesn't know anything about that office, and yet he knew enough to know what was Mary's personal items and pull them out with Richard. The whole world knows that Russ the Sus took legal documents, public information, out of Town Hall illegally and tried to cover it up, saying it was all Mary's, Mathis Scary's personal items. Except he left that computer, and we've got a ton of emails. You may be asking yourself, how in the world did Jeremy and George get involved with going to council meetings? When we first moved to Otter Creek, one of our neighbors said, "Hey, there's a town hall meeting. Do you want to go?" And what we saw was the most dysfunctional, most chaotic meeting that was supposed to be professional in our lives. What you see now in Otter Creek, times that by 100. That's what we witnessed. So how did we get here? Well, let's dig into Mary's own words, so you don't have to take mine for it. It starts with John Crook and Lynette actually stalking us to Otter Creek and thinking that they were somewhat of social media experts. As a matter of fact, in Mary's own words to Steve Warm, Attorney Warm, John Crook is the one who videos all the meetings and posts what he wants on social media. Our remaining female council member, which is Gail, you know Council Member Gail, and Miss Granger, which is now our current mayor, are apparently working together. So she was quick to second Don's nomination. Now let's stop right there and pause for a second. Very first thing I want you to realize is we did not come into Otter Creek and just start filming town hall meetings. As a matter of fact, it was almost 3 years until we did start filming town hall meetings. It was John Crook and Lynette who came in and started a political Facebook page and filmed every single meeting. Now, those meetings are horrible. They're like this because they have withdrawal symptoms and they can't keep a camera straight. But they didn't have anybody really on their page either. They made signs illegally against Russell, against Stewart, against Mary, against Attorney Warren, even to the point of putting a 4x8 sign, which is still in front of their yard, against all these individuals. You may be asking, where was the child while they were filming all these town council meetings? Good question, especially since they say they can never, ever leave her side. They left her side. She was being babysat by somebody in the campground. Now, Mary, specifically in this email to Attorney Warm, states that there are sides. She states that the female counselor, which is, in context, this is Gail Lamb, who you see serving on the council today, is siding with Miss Granger. Now, I didn't know there were sides when you had a town and you were responsible, voted by the people, for the people, to do the best for that town. But apparently there was Mary's side and there was everybody else's side. And Gail didn't fall on Mary's side because Gail seconded Don's motion so quickly, which apparently is then tied into Miss Granger's motion. And what you're going to see in these emails is Mary and Russell were completely and totally against Don as well. So it's Mary and Russell against Don, Mary and Russell against Gail, Mary and Russell against Mrs. Granger, Mary and Russell against John and Lynette, to the fact that they were looking to pursue legal action against John Crook and Lynette for filming these meetings. Once Mary actually talks to Attorney Warm about legal action, Attorney Warm says this: I recall there being some issues about taping a public meeting, much as you would into it otherwise, but I'll check. Well, first of all, there is no issue recording a public meeting. It is public information. It is, by the very nature, for the public and can be recorded. So where in the world he has to even check blows my mind that an attorney in this day and age would have to check such a thing. But I'll continue to read on. My reaction is it's okay as long as it does not interfere with the actual conduct of public business in any way. Most meetings are now taped in-house, and the tape may be obtained from the municipality upon request, so it would seem that the taping itself is not banned, but there still may be an issue. I'll check before coming to any conclusions. They were looking to pursue legal action against Lynette and John Crook, which I find is very funny because now Lynette and John Crook want to team up with those two they were so adamantly opposed to. And then what does Mary say? She says, thank you. I think if there's any recourse, it may come from posting it on social media. We already know they're hostile to many of the residents and put their spin on everything. Sad when somebody moves into town with such hate. Mary DeGroot. This is in direct reference to John Crook and Lynette. They are wanting to pursue action, not for the videotaping now, but for the posting it on Facebook. And yeah, they had no followers until we made you all aware of them. It's Mary that says, sad when someone moves to a town with such hate. Mary, I'm going to spin that on you just a little bit. It's sad when somebody moves into a town with so much hate. You are a pathological liar. You are a thief. And at your core is prejudice and hate. Here's a little more about John Crook and Lynette from Mary. The circus is now scary? Again, she says, big question. Do we have any recourse to the meeting, public being videotaped and posted on social media? New resident, shed to home conversion. That should say shell to no home conversion because it's never happened and it never will. Announced he started a Facebook page and account on, it doesn't matter what their page and account is, it's a bunch of garbage anyway. Other than entertainment value of just laughing at them, there's really nothing of value there. And proceeded to the video of the meeting, including sweeping the public in the discussions. I understand that the county doesn't allow it, but don't know what allows them to disallow it. Well, let me clarify. Number one, the county cannot not allow it. The county must allow it. That is the law. So Mary is, yet again, completely and totally incorrect. And says seems he has taken over while the YouTube guy is gone. Okay, now spelling is an issue for her. Math, spelling, it's Y-O-U, not you. Not to mention, the YouTube guy did not record any of the meetings. The YouTube guy recorded his interactions with you because you stole from him and because you continued to lie and try and cover it up. And then the YouTube guy had to come in and film meetings because nobody would have watched them from John Crook's page. He had no influence, and you were warned for 3 years. He's the one who dramatically gave his 2.5 minutes to Brett. I'm guessing during public comment. And then Mary says, the circus has come to town. Mary, have you considered that your town already was the circus and Russ was your ringleader and you're the clown? That's why you lost the best attorney for the town ever, and now you had the worst, Attorney Worm. But it wasn't just Mary and Russ against Lynette and John Crook. It was literally Mary and Russ versus everybody. You'll see here Otter Creek WSSI meeting minutes from Mary DeGroot to Steve Worm. By the way, all the information I'm sharing is public information. I can't even believe an attorney would have put what he has put in writing, okay? But we're going to keep going anyway. Remember, 6,000 plus incriminating emails. What we thought was going to be a Teams virtual meeting with Wetland Solutions, Inc. for the info on our system between WSI and Mayor Meeks and Lonnie, the plant operator, turned into in person. Now, Lonnie is the one who does all the chemicals for treating our water. So Russell may be a plumber by trade and not a very good one, just like Lynette is a beggar, but she's an unprofessional beggar. Lonnie is the actual water operator, just so you understand what's happening here. Now, Councilman Severino, that would be Don, heard there was a meeting. Russell told him he could not be a part of it. It was not a public meeting. He came in anyway before I could lock the door. Mary was attempting to lock Don out of a meeting. And it was a meeting that Don should have been a part of. And he was. Now you have Miss Darlene next door to Town Hall, heard the conversation between the mayor and the councilman and has told everyone that we violated sunshine law. That would be because you did. As a matter of fact, I have many emails of you acknowledging, literally telling Attorney Warm that you broke the law. It's mind-boggling. She says, where do we go from here? Do we post the minutes? The reason why she's asking Attorney Warm, where do we go from here? Do we post the minutes? Because they were trying to have a secret meeting, which is against the law. Now the public knows that there was a meeting. Therefore, they must legally produce minutes. Not only that, if we go further down, the company they met with, Good Morning Mary, attached are the updated final meeting minutes from our meeting on Friday. They even provided her with meeting minutes. And Mary's asking Attorney Warm, we got caught, what do we do? She openly admits to breaking the law right here. And she does it because there's a dispute between Russell and Don. So much so that Don literally gets up out of the meeting and leaves the council meeting. Don has had it. Don and Russell have been like this. So funny that now Don and Russell are like this with Mayor Teresa in charge. Let's go ahead and read the email. This is July 13th, 2022, 3:25 p.m. Now up here, she's talking about salary of council members. $100, $25 less than the mayor gets for 24 on-call stuff. So council members make $100 per meeting. The mayor makes $125 per meeting or per month. Special meetings don't add salary. But then she goes into Don, because the real question she's asking, so you have this in context, do I pay him? He left the meeting. Do I pay Don? And she says the tantrum exit would have been little consequence if one more person had been there. Him disrupting a regular meeting would have allowed the meeting to continue. Besides, his objection to the financials prevented approval to pay the bills. And parentheses, I paid them anyway. She broke the law. She wrote in parentheses, admitting she broke the law. The clerk has no authority, and it is against the law and completely illegal for those bills to be paid unless the voted-in council members actually approve them to be paid. They cannot be paid. And she did it anyway. And she says, doesn't really matter that Don wasn't there. Really wouldn't have mattered at all. Remember, it was Mary and Don, Russ and Don. Don wanted financials, and they fought nonstop. Russell never gave them to him. Now Russell's begging for financials, demanding financials from Mayor Teresa. But he never gave them, ever, to Don, to the point where Don literally stood up and walked out. That's how much they were fighting. And what does Mary have to say about it?
We need money. How much are we going to get?
We all know they needed money, and they saw their opportunity for it when an outsider moved in, a northerner, somebody who they loved to hate. You know, put on a little circus, do a little dance, do a little show, and see if you can get their money. Well, that little circus show was with my meter. So right here we have from May 13th, 2022. This is to Attorney Worm from Mary, Math is Scary. Now you have to understand as she's writing this, she's already gotten a year of letters from me with my water payment saying, you stop stealing from me. You stop doing this. You better stop or I'm going to put it all online and I'm going to expose what you're doing. As a matter of fact, you remember when she outright lied to me? That's it.
And you should be treated just like everyone else is.
And I'm being billed what other people aren't being billed. So, for example, Otter Creek Post Office is a commercial property. You're not charging them at a commercial rate. You're charging them $22.50. I have other commercial or business-owned properties around me. For example, the hunting club, that's not being charged at a commercial rate. It's being charged at $22.50. So why am I, as a resident of Otter Creek, being charged $50 for something that just out of the blue, you guys pulled and went, okay, I'm going to charge him $50.
Well,
Who-
take it up with the council.
So who made that decision? The council didn't, because I've already talked to council members, some of them. So the council doesn't know anything about this. Some of those members, who told you to bill me at $50 a month? Am I the only one in town with a 2-inch meter?
There's one other.
Who's the other?
Oh. Well,
This email focuses on her trying to cover up her lies. She knew she was in a world of hurt and a world of trouble, and she tried to figure it out with the attorney. So the email starts pretty innocently. That's really interesting, especially relating to the experiences of the appointees, assuming, yes, I know, they're citizens, residents of Otter Creek. She's actually being degrading to the actual appointees and the council members. But you have to understand this in all context of the full thread of the messages. But I can't focus on that full thread, okay? There's just too much there. She says, I'll give the study to the mayor. We need to look at amending the water rate resolution. I did what I thought was the option selected. Once the current controversies cool a little, we'll look at modifications. RM. Russell Meeks thought all commercial connections would be paying one rate, not based on meter size, and we passed it based on meter size. Previously, everyone paid the same, except one account that paid with a multiplier of 2. It would have been so much simpler to get it in the system if we only had one residential, one commercial rate. Let me break this down for you. This is what happened. You just saw when I approached Mary about her lying about my water bill, okay? So everybody in the town, residential, commercial, business, homeowner, didn't matter, you paid the same rate, $22.50. Now comes me. I am the controversy. You've lied to me, you're stealing from me. Now, as I called them out on it, they have to come up with a system to try and make it look like they didn't target and they didn't lie for me and they didn't steal from me. That's why Mary says previously everybody paid the same rate except for me. She is addressing her theft of me. I hope you understand this and how incriminating this email is that she puts in writing to Attorney Warren. And then Russell, to scramble and try and fix this situation, tells her we need a new resolution. We need a new ordinance that says that water is charged based on commercial or residential. Okay, so first off, the mayor is Russell. The clerk reports to the mayor, and Mary did the... I can't believe it. I mean, how in the world can you not understand you're supposed to have a meter for businesses, which is commercial, and a meter for residential, which is your home, okay? And Mary screws it all up, and she gives the council a resolution based on meter size. Russell wants commercial, residential. She does it meter size. Russell isn't there, doesn't know what's going on. So, commercial, what do? They screw it all up, and they charge me at a commercial rate after they've already stolen from me, which is against their own resolution that they adopted. I'll show you that in a moment. So they charge me commercial rate. You cannot charge me a commercial rate when I am zoned residential. I have a 70-acre residential ranch, period. Illegal. So they think we're going to print on it commercial. And boom, we're good. We're golden. Wrong. You screwed up, and you screwed the wrong person, first of all. Then you screwed up what Russell told you to do to try and fix your screw up. And then you hid more, and you lied more, over and over again. And the funniest part is, Mary, math is scary, that they paid with a multiplier of 2. $22.50 times 2 is $45. She charged me $50. She can't even do the math of a multiplier of 2. Do you understand yet? I was targeted. I am the only individual in the town of Otter Creek that paid any different rate than anybody else. That's why we're at this point. And then they tried to cover it all up. And the emails just keep uncovering it and uncovering it and uncovering it. And she says it would have been so much simpler in the system if we had one residential and one commercial rate. Guess what? If they would have charged me the residential rate, we would have never been in this issue. Oh wait, let's back up a little bit. If they wouldn't have stolen from me, then lied, and then tried to cover it up, we would never be in this issue. As a matter of fact, you know what it would be right now? It'd be Russ the Sus running his little good old boy gang, doing all these corrupt things, and me wanting to be left alone on my property. If he's doing it to me, how many more people in the town of Otter Creek do you think they've done this to? We get that answer in the email. Nobody. It's just me. I'm an outsider. You think there's a bit of a prejudice there? So you want to know how Mary got this resolution passed wrong without Russell realizing it? Russell was not the mayor at this point in time. Laura Mott was. And Laura Mott had no clue what she was doing, just like Mary has no clue. You need proof? There it is, right there. Laura Mott, mayor. Oh, Attorney Warren didn't even sign it. Mary did, though. So you're going, okay, Russell wanted it this way. Why isn't it Laura who wanted it this way? Because Laura was just the puppet for Russell. And Mary did it all wrong. So what they did was 5-inch meter equals $24. 1-inch meter equals $33.59. 1.5 equals $43.19. 2-inch meter equals $69.59. Now Mary thought she would soften the blow of her theft and her lies by charging me for a 1-inch meter rate on this new resolution. So by their own resolution, she went on to break the law even more, charging me less. So how could I be upset about being charged less? Listen, it's not about being charged less. It was about the lies. It was about the theft. It was about the deception. It was about the corruption. And it still is. And it's not just with me. You can see it's Russell and Dunn. It's Mary and Dunn. It's Russell and Crook. It's Mary and Crook. It's Russell and Lynette. It's Mary and Lynette. Laura Mott wasn't the mayor very long. She actually stepped down. And honestly, this is just a personal belief. I don't have any information to back this up. I believe it was Russell pushing her to actually run for a council seat for the county, a commissioner seat, which she failed miserably. And nobody really thought that she was going to win, but what that allowed Russell to do is Laura was out, he could then jump back up into the seat of what's perceived power, okay? And so now all of a sudden, Town of Otter Creek has an open seat, and they're not going to run another election. So what they do is they ask for applications of interested parties. At the same time, Don is threatening to actually resign. He's sick and tired of Russell. He's sick and tired of Mary. So the town council potentially is going to lose 2 members. And Mary has a ton to say about it. But before I get into the election, I found another email here real quick. She says in parentheses, before the rate change, everyone paid the residential rate. Now commercial rates are higher. Mary DeGroot. They did that after they voted in the resolution. Remember, everybody pays the same rate. Oh wait, there's one person who doesn't. His name would be Jeremy Hales. Targeted, lied to, stolen from. You get the current theme here in this circus with these people who hate? The subject here is July 12th meeting controversy. Titled appropriately by Mary Mary. Controversy is scary. Now, this is Attorney Warm right here. He's actually writing Mary back. And he says this. Let me add something to what I said before. The language is that the appointment is by the remaining council members. I presume that would not include the mayor, who was not present last night, which would have been Russ the Sus. Any vote last night would have not been a vote of the remaining council members in the absence of one of them. It's another reason the decision to defer was probably the right one. Which then Mary actually responds with all of this. All right. To Attorney Warren, 2 letters of interest in the box this morning. One from Mrs. Granger and one from Lynette Preston of Preston/Crook. This is one of the first times she actually doesn't call them the Turtle People or Turtle Lady or Turtle Man. Just occurred to me that they may be planning for Don to resign so they will have the majority on everything. 3 females taking control, which would not be a bad thing if they weren't of the mindset that they are. In other words, Mary is against Gail. Mary playing the side again. Gail's on the wrong side, not on her side. And she doesn't want Gail with 2 other females, Mrs. Granger and Lynette. That would make 3 females against Mary. I'm not sure what that would look like, but she didn't like the looks of it at all. She was scared of it because she doesn't like Gail. And there's more emails that say as such. Don doesn't realize that his alliance is with the very people who are going to hit him big time to clean up his yard as soon as possible as they get the control code enforcement. Now, that's a major issue for Otter Creek. Otter Creek legally has to have code enforcement. What has Otter Creek not done? Hasn't had code enforcement. You go, how in the world can they legally not have code enforcement? They don't have code enforcement. Well, why hasn't anything been done? Because nobody stood up and held them accountable and sued them for it. So Otter Creek right now does not have code enforcement. If they did, Lynette and John Crook would not be on that piece of property. They are illegally on that property. Illegally living in a shed. Illegally with the camper on the property. It's all illegal. They illegally have reptiles within a 1/4 mile radius of residence. It's all illegal. But the town of Otter Creek doesn't have any code enforcement. Which is why, if the town of Otter Creek doesn't get any code enforcement, and John and Lynette are not booted off of that property, the town of Otter Creek is going to have a second lawsuit from me. I assume they're going to get code enforcement very, very quickly. And yet, here's Mary stating that's what they want. They want control of code enforcement, and they're finally going to make Don clean up his mess. I don't think this has anything to do with control of code enforcement. Maybe it's control for Don, so he doesn't have to clean up his mess, so he can continue to break the law. Now, some of you are going, man, I don't like it when the government tells me what to do with my property. Great, get 70 acres, get back in the woods where nobody can see what's going on with your property. When you live in a town, there are codes, and they are enforced, and they must be for the health and wellness of other people. If you don't like it, go out in the country, go into the woods where nobody can see anything. It's for everybody's benefit, not just you. The world doesn't revolve around you and what you want to do with your property. So she's concerned that, oh man, they're going to go after him. She says he has an abandoned bus, a fire truck in his yard in the historical area. He's as happy as a pig in sunshine, while Russell Meeks and I, and to an extent, Stewart, are the targets. So Mary, Russell, and Stewart are the targets of all of the town. Okay, so anybody who's not with Mary and not happy with Mary are all bad people. Remember, they're the haters. They are the circus, according to Mary. It's everybody. There's literally nobody that's in favor of Mary. And then she goes on to say, incidentally, it was Don's wife, Rosemary, who was the former clerk, who trained me. Like someone said, you can't make this stuff up. No, you can't. Guess who said that first in Otter Creek? Yeah, it was me. Mary says, another thought, wouldn't it be a conflict of interest for Miss Granger to be on council if there's possible litigation between the town and the Grangers? Interesting question. Why was there possible litigation? That's right, because you and Russ the Sus illegally pulled their permit. And we're going to dig into that next time.